it's just a game. We'll play the part, but it won't be the same. They have a habit overcharging, forcing the hand into a plea bargain. Offered up a plea deal, but I didn't do it for real. Turn the world against me, but I just wanna be free. I've got the facts, they've got the lies. Motion denied. They say they've got so much evidence. Trace DNA is taking precedence over unknown blood found at the scene. I think it's time someone just came clean. Offered up a plea deal, but I didn't do it for real. Turn the world against me, but I just wanna be free. I've got the facts, they've got the lies. Motion denied. Been sentenced to death. I'm not a bad guy, not holding my breath. Rather do life than offered up a plea deal, but I didn't do it for real. Turn the world against me, but I just wanna be free. I've got the facts, they've got the lies. Motion denied. Motion denied. Motion denied. Motion denied.
The devil's advocates whisper in the hall, where justice wears a mask and truth begins to fall. Every thread they pull, every lie they weave, in the courtroom's dance, who's left to believe? Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight. A photograph fades where the truth once stood, blurred lines between the bad and the good. The scales they tilt with every silver tongue, while the broken cry for a song unsung. Black robes sway
All right, everybody. Hopefully, I can get a sound check backstage. Everybody says it's good. Okay. I'm so excited to be here. I hope that you got to watch the song Motion Denied. That was the first time we've aired that on here. Threw some AI images together. That is a mixture of Cat Farm working on the AI music. It was badass. I dug that the second I heard it. It looks like Dago likes it backstage. Loved that song. Threw some AI images together. So I'm so glad somebody caught the humor that I put fog lights on the horse. I did some AI foo and came up with some smoky, dark images, kind of depicted Koberger and Hippler. Hope you enjoyed that AI montage that we put together. I didn't spend a terrible amount of time on it, but we want to work in. We've got a whole bevy of songs in the backstage that you have never heard before that we want to do that. And so I'm glad that it looks like it's well received, that some of you enjoyed that. So we'll try to rotate some of those songs in the future. Dago's working on songs, Cat Farm's working on songs, and between some of us, AI type, manipulators will come up with some cool intro stuff. So you want to check in early, gives time for the room to build, and then we can get going. So thanks everybody who enjoyed that. I'd love to hear what you thought about that, whether you caught little images that were kind of cool and there's some Easter eggs and stuff like that. So very, very cool. Thank you so much for that. All right, let's bring our panel. We got a full panel. So in the interest of getting one's family off to bed, we need to get the panel up on stage very quickly. So I'll bring them up on the order that they are backstage, with the exception of one who always gets the ass end of the invite because he does our monologue when he comes in. So, Logan, you're up first. What's up? How you doing?
Oh, good. How are you?
I'm excellent. What do you think of the song?
Oh, it was so good.
Right?
I found the whole Hippler being in there pretty hysterical. Every time I see his face, it makes me want to grind my gears. No, it was really good though. That was good. I like it.
It's funny because when I do AI, like I tell it to use a reference picture, like we cannot create a person's likeness, and yet it came up pretty fucking close anyways. Like
I mean, I definitely knew it was him right away. For
right?
sure. That was great.
So not bad. Anything special today? Did you have a live today or do anything special today?
No, not today. We have really, really bad storms right now. So just in case I disappear, you guys, my power went out. It's a storm. So
as long as we don't see a creepy hand come in behind you on the thing, we'll probably be fine. But you know what? If the lights flicker and a hand comes back in the back, you can say what you want. We're all going to convince that you've got a haunted house or something.
Somebody call 911 if you see both at the same time, please. That is not a prank.
Just before the lights go out, we see like a Scream mask and a hand come in through your window, and then the lights go out. We're like, oh, that's not good. Well, it's good to see you. Good to have you back on the show. And I can't wait to get going. Well, as often is the case, I don't really have a script other than I thought we kind of, because of the intro with that kind of Old West thing, we might want to talk about some of that small town justice, the things that happen differently in small towns and how maybe they get away with a lot of shit when it's not a big case. It almost makes you wonder whether or not Idaho knew what they were in for when they got the Idaho 4 case, and maybe they were used to getting away with a lot of fucking, and then all of a sudden they were on the national stage, and we'll talk about that as a group. But anyways, good to see you again.
Be a good conversation to have. I grew up in a small town, so I get
it. Yeah. Try that shit in a small town. All right. Dago, what's up, man?
Whoa.
Good to see you.
Forget about it. That was a killer song, and the little
I
video.
Can tell you liked it. Yeah.
Oh, dude, that was great job, Cat Form. I loved it.
Yep, so good.
And the video was sick. I loved the whole mix of it. It was awesome, truly and amazing.
I kind of feel like a jerk because Cat Form's been sitting on that song for forever, and she's like, "I gave this to you like a long time ago. I wondered why you just ignored it." And I'm like, "I love that song. Like I just heard it today. Like we ran with it and put some images." I'm an asshole.
You withheld that from us for all this time. Like what the hell, God. Dude?
Whatever. It's classic. I got other ones too in the queue that I can't wait to do. One of the ones that I've got for her. Yeah, that's great. One that I'm going to do, by the way, is I've got all this footage of me driving around Indiana, Kentucky, and stuff like that. Remember, I would film dash cam stuff of me just driving around on the back roads of Kentucky. We've got a song that's just called like Devil's Advocates on the Road that she made. And I'm just going to do some fast 10 times speed driving around Kentucky back roads and kind of throw that up there one of these nights. So
I got some actually cool have one that I already put together about Letcher County. I have actually 3. I have one called Letcher County Losers. I have one that is home Kentucky Kentucky Conspiracy, Letcher County Losers, and there's another one too. But
oh
I'll
my
pull
god,
those out. Yeah, they're interesting.
yeah, yeah. I hope we get to show them on our show. That sounds awesome. Let's do that.
Yeah,
Let's
absolutely.
do it. Let's do it.
Welcome back.
I love
Logan.
adding
Good to see
music.
you.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. You had something. You had a big live today. Do you want to talk about that a little bit or not?
Oh yeah, real quick. I was doing a open discussion breakdown, a full case on the Idaho 4, of course, surprise. And WSU mom Kim popped in and in the chat, and I said, hey, one was actually was with us as well today, and Dylan from Hildreth Investigates was there. And I said, Kim, if you're comfortable with it, I always have your back. You're welcome to jump up here with us. And boink, there she came. So we had a conversation with Kim, guys, an updated conversation today. It was awesome.
That's
go
cool.
check it out when you get a chance. It was a good one. I'm working on a secondary one. It's a little bit more structured because I was not expecting it today.
Yeah,
where we can, sit down and actually talk. So yeah, that was kind of exciting. So
yeah, that sounds like it.
Especially because it seems like after she kind of stopped coming around, that a lot of the things that she said ended up being true. So
very much so. Yes,
interesting.
Agree, Logan. Thank you.
Yeah, and I mean, and to be fair, I can understand why some people are like, if you can't name names, and it's at the end of the day, like I even get harsh or uncomfortable sometimes when someone says, I know all this stuff, but I can't tell you how I know it. And I'm like, well, then why tell me? Because if I get that to some extent, but then, like you say, when things later on come out showing that what they were saying was true, then you kind of go, well, wait a minute, now maybe I understand why you couldn't say anything about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
you have to remember to put ourselves in their shoes too. They're real life people, and they're from that area. So could you imagine what could possibly happen to them and their safety? I get both sides of it. I want to hear a name too, but I want them to be safe as well.
Exactly.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Safety first. And then, but so yeah, that trumps everything. So if they're in a dangerous place to talk, then they shouldn't talk. So, I mean, I get that, but so yeah, I'm glad that you got that opportunity. Hope to get more comes out of that. Like you said, more structure when you know what's happening, then you can get some more details, and that would be great. So let's bring, I brought one up before Robin. Go the hell back to stage.
Go away.
Get out of here. What are you doing in here?
It's a good thing. It's a good thing he wasn't doing anything embarrassing. Robin, you're up. You're up before him.
That was good.
Go the hell backstage.
The hell you doing in here, boy?
So what do you got?
My gosh.
What do you got?
Well, what do I have? I want to tell you all that chair exercises are no joke. Okay. We recently started doing them. And the funny thing is that they expect you to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
And I'm over here and I'm trying to do, they're like, move this arm and that leg. And I'm like, come on, man, make up your mind, one or the other. Like, but so they're no joke. You try it.
It sounds like something in my future, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Listen, for people, no, seriously, for people who have bad knees, a bad back, like me right now, I'm having a shoulder issue and stuff like that. And this lady, she puts you through your freaking paces, let me tell you. So I'm just saying, but yeah, I'm like, pick one exercise or another because then I'm trying not to hit things, and the dog's whining because he's in his cage and he can't get to me.
Right. Gotcha. That sounds entertaining. Fortunately, I haven't got to the point where I have bad knees, so I'm about ready to start hiking because the season is almost now upon us where the mountains are starting to get, although it's kind of, as an aside, so this morning I woke up with the intention to go on my first hike, and I figured if the snow level is too low, I just won't be able to go very far, and that's okay because I need to work up to my endurance anyways. Woke up and there's snow everywhere on the ground, and I'm like, well, shit, if there's snow at my level, I'm screwed for the mountain hiking, so forget it. So I didn't go, and now like by midday, the snow's all melted away. It's super warm and sunny. I'm like, oh my god, I could have hiked today. Like, I don't know, it doesn't know what it's doing yet. So, but we got some snow dumped on us. But I'm ready to get hiking, and I'm excited to get going on it. So.
Enjoy those knees while you can, sir, because when they leave, it's no joke. That's one of the biggest things I hate about being a drummer, folks, is I lost my knees early. So I'll just be honest with you, it sucks.
Oh wow,
yeah.
So So is it just from the foot pedal work? I mean, because you're sitting on your butt all the time. You lose your knees from just doing the footwork on the drums.
Well, here's the thing.
If you sit there doing that constantly for like hours,
this is the choice of music that I decided to play when I was younger plays into what my knees are doing now. Okay, because I thought double bass, quad basses, drum, all that kind of shit I regret every bit of that now. As much as I like the music, my knees don't. So just saying.
Amanda said, were you on your knees a lot, Diego? I thought, well, maybe you had to do some stuff to get into the band, and maybe that wore out your knees. And
I was waiting for Amanda to make a statement. So all I'm gonna say,
use your imagination.
I will do. Anyways. That's enough of that. Or I forgot that I even have JJ with. I really dumped one to the back. I got to get JJ up on screen too. JJ, what's up? How you doing?
What's up, everybody? How you guys doing?
Hello.
Excellent.
What's up, denizens, meatballs, believers, mods? How you guys all doing? Yeah. So no big excitement for me today. Just a long day.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have a cup of coffee after work because then I'd be wired later and I wouldn't be able to fall asleep. So I was just like, I'll just tough it out.
Coffee sounds good right about now. I actually kind of feel a little drowsy. I feel like I should go for a cup of. In fact, I might spin you guys up into a conference. Yeah, look at you all motherfuckers have coffee, and I need to have some coffee. So what I'm going to do? That's not coffee, sir. This ain't coffee, bitch. What we'll do? Here's what I'm going to do. I do listen, by the way. I have earphones. This is not hearing aids. I haven't got to that point yet. So I got my earphones on. So what? Anyway. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll get one up here. I'll start his monologue. Of course, with my luck, he'll have a brief monologue tonight, and then I'll go run and make a quick cup of coffee while I'm listening to his monologue.
Can you hear me now?
All right. So let's get. Now you can come back on stage. So how you doing tonight?
Oh, hey,
hello, everyone.
We didn't know you were
Hello.
here.
Good to see you, buddy.
I'm here. Yeah, I was in the middle of putting my pants on and my eyelashes. So,
Same damn time.
Well, that's it.
Whoa.
How's your knees? That's the main thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're lucky. I actually have a little longer monologue tonight. So.
Oh, right.
So it will fit you making coffee. Yeah.
I'm gonna grab a pillow. I'll be right back.
Yeah, Robin will cover it for me if you end before I get back, because I do have to hit the brew button on a Keurig and stuff like that. But I will be. I'll be listening. Okay. Before you get your monologue going, is there anything you want to share about your day today? Anything special?
So today's training was on crowd control. Fun stuff. There's always protest and LGBTQIA. So what I will say about that is it would be nice if just people, show everyone the same respect that they would want. That's all. Yeah. That's what I will say about that. Yep. But we have, as a supervisor, and we cover a lot of, they go in depth in a lot of that stuff because now being a captain, we kind of set the standard at the precinct. So if we condone and we allow, stupid jokes and nonsense to go on, we basically are creating an environment that should not be allowed. So if we're strict about certain areas and we don't allow that people usually will fall in line because they don't want to get their chops busted by the captain. So
yeah. Oh, you're muted.
Can't hear Diego.
Thank you, Blue Eyed Butterfly, for that super sticker. God bless you, and so very generous. Much appreciated.
Real quick before I go start my my coffee and whatever, and maybe you can't talk about it, but when you talk about crowd control, one of the things I was going to ask, and again, if you can't talk about it, I don't know, but does NYPD use crowd control devices like brown noise or things that make people nauseous so it disperses crowds? Do they use any kind of sonic things on crowds to disperse crowds? Because I've heard about people using those on large crowds.
They don't use that. They do. No, and they're not even allowed to They used to we have a mounted unit. They're not even allowed to so mounted. Yeah, they're not even allowed, and they keep people in line. Those horses are no joke. They're really, they're really not. But they're not even allowed to use them. And just with the current environment and how things are, they're tired of really all the crazy lawsuits. Every time there's like a big protest, people want to sue left and right for every little thing. So there's all these like crazy special rules, about people protesting. Like they have to be given, 3 warnings, and they actually have to be breaking, committing a crime before like you give them a warning that they're going to be arrested. It's like all this stuff. So just lots and lots of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to. I actually probably could sit down and talk to you at length about crowd control side. I'd love to know more about it, but maybe not on the show, and maybe not right now because I got to go make a cup of coffee. Right. So I'm going to put you full screen so you can do your monologue. I'll be right back.
Sure. Is it good to be alive in the den on Tuesday night? Right? Mm-hmm. Today's Tuesday night. Yeah. Love you, Jackson, Juliana, and of course my beautiful wife. Oh, here we go. There are 2 kinds of justice in America. The kind written in law books and the kind whispered about in small towns after dark. The first one lives in courtrooms, evidence, witnesses, reasonable doubt. But the second kind lives somewhere else. It lives in living rooms, in gas stations, in the quiet corners of diners where the coffee never stops pouring. Because when something terrible happens in a small town, people don't just want justice, they want peace. They want the fear to stop. They want their town back. And most of all, they want a name, someone, anyone, to carry the weight of what happened. In February of 2017, 2 young girls walked across an old railroad bridge outside a quiet town in Indiana. They never came home. The murders of Liberty German and Abigail Williams shattered the town of Delphi, a place where people left their doors unlocked, where everyone knew everyone, where crimes like this was something that happened somewhere else. But suddenly, evil had found its way into the woods, and the entire town began holding its breath. Days turned into months, months turned into years. Sketches changed, suspects came and went. Rumors spread through the town like wildfire. But one thing never changed: the silence. A silence that grew heavier with every passing year, a silence that demanded answers. And then 5 years later, a name appeared, a man who had lived quietly in the very town that was grieving, a man who had shopped in the same stores, walked the same streets, stood in the same lines at the local pharmacy. Investigators said they had their suspect, Richard Allen. For many people, that was the moment the nightmare ended, the moment justice finally arrived. But when you look closer, when you step away from the headlines, something else begins to emerge. Because justice, real justice, is supposed to move slowly, carefully, deliberately. But in small towns, justice sometimes moves differently. Because when the entire community is grieving, when pressure builds, when years pass without answers, the line between finding the truth and finding someone responsible can begin to blur. Across America, over 90% of criminal cases never go to trial. They end in something quieter: plea deals, negotiations, confessions. Sometimes whispered inside interrogation rooms where the lights never turn off. Sometimes made by people who are tired, broken, or terrified of what might happen if they refuse. History has shown us something unsettling. Sometimes the system gets it right. Sometimes the system makes mistakes. And sometimes the difference between those 2 outcomes comes down to a single question: did investigators follow the evidence? Or did the evidence begin to follow the suspect? Tonight, on Devil's Advocates, we step into one of the most uncomfortable conversations in criminal justice, the tension between small-town justice and the truth. Because in places where everyone knows each other, where rumors travel faster than facts, and where grief demands answers, justice can sometimes become something else entirely, something heavier, something darker. So tonight, we slow everything down, we look at the evidence, the timeline, the pressure, the confessions, the silence, and we ask the question that nobody in a grieving town ever wants to hear. What if the story isn't finished yet? What if justice and certainty are not the same thing? Turn down the lights, lean a little closer to the microphone, because tonight we're walking into the shadows between closure and truth. This is Devil's Advocates, and the deeper you look into small town justice, the darker the questions become. With that, live from New York, it's Tuesday night.
You have no idea how close it was for me not to make it back, because I fought with the Keurig and I fought with the Keurig, but I made it right for your close. So thanks for the monologue. Very cool stuff in that monologue. I like what you did there.
Thank you, Krista. Appreciate you. That Dago, sir, cool. Thank you always for the kindness and inclusion daily at your channel. It has always been appreciated, as it is always appreciated to you, Krista. Thank you so much for that. God bless.
All righty. Well, look at this is a full panel on screen. And like I said, I don't even know where to start. I wanted to tell you, I found out today, just as an aside, kind of getting early on one of the topics. It actually happened in September of 2025, so it happened a while ago, but I just caught wind of Kevin Mullins, the judge that got shot and killed in Letcher County, Kentucky. His his widowed wife and family and others are suing civilly for the wrongful death of Kevin Mullins, and in part suing the courthouse for not stopping it, saying they should have saw it coming. They should have seen Nikki Stein's unstable behavior and had a responsibility to protect the judge, and they didn't do so. It brings up that whole issue of the civil cases get difficulty, right? Which is that everyone, like WSU should have been able to see Brian Koberger coming and should have been able to stop him. You should have seen Mickey Stein's becoming unstable and should have been able to stop him. So the lawsuits come against the people with the money, and that's where a lot of times the big money comes. Of course, as we know, those things often ends in settlements and don't actually go to court anyways. But that's something to talk about. And I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know. So here's the difficulty that I just want to say. When we're talking true crime, it is difficult when we're talking about people who have family members who are not themselves the person at the center of the crime. And by that, I mean this. A lot of bad things have been said about Kevin Mullins and what he did in that county and him looking the other way about things. And some people feel Kevin Mullins had it coming when he was shot and killed. But how horrible is that, of course, for the children of Kevin Mullins or the spouse of Kevin Mullins, the people who loved him and maybe didn't know the man that the rest of the county thinks that they know. As we were reminded that there's more than one side to every story. People can both have good traits and bad traits. And that makes it difficult, right? That makes it difficult because when we're talking negatively about a person's worst traits, that's not I guess I don't know where I'm going with this, other than a person could be, for example, a good father and right and had a secret. And so what do you do when you deal with the person might be a monster and their secret, but then maybe they were a good person in other areas of their lives. So I just wanted to put that out there in the conversation ether for us to talk about as a panel about how do we deal with the fact that when you're talking about, the same could be said of Bill Thompson. We busted Bill Thompson's nuts all the time for being over prosecutorial and maybe fuckery and putting a man in jail who doesn't belong there. Hitler for being the same kind of judge that didn't give a fair trial. And yet they also might have children and wives who don't know that person like that. So how do you deal with us being critical of individuals, but being respectful to the families who don't understand, they don't know that person as that? What do you guys have thoughts on that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have to judge people by their character, and true that someone could have somewhat of like per se like a secret identity, like they could be a good father, like I mean, not to go off on a crazy tangent, but someone that comes to mind is someone that comes to mind right away of like trying to do a lot of good in the world, and all of his songs and everything were about helping and all that, is like Michael Jackson.
Okay? I knew you were going there. Yeah.
Michael Jackson is someone who was adored by many people for years, and I'm not going to get into the whole other side of him, but there is potential dark side that has to do with Michael Jackson. So here you have someone who's like loved by so many and wants to help so many people, and did help probably many children and people across the world with his songs and different things. But could he still have a dark secret and still be have another part of him that is bad? And I think both. I think it can be true. You can be both.
Yeah, and I guess I agree. Like, and here's the thing: like, I know people that one horrible deed can erase a lifetime of good service, right? So,
right.
You could have been. Well, let's take Michael Jackson as an example. You could have written music that changed people's lives and had positive impact, and you could have raised millions of dollars and donated to tons of stuff. But if your side hobby was something despicable, nobody at some point everybody's gonna, I don't give a shit how much you did, and so all the good gets erased because of the. And again, we don't know. I don't know at the end of the day whether or not those allegations were entirely true. There were people who were motivated by money in that situation as well. So you don't even know if half the things that were true. The point, and that's the thing. If I try to say that we're not sure what's true, then I get accused of being a monster for defending a monster, and like it's ridiculous. Like one, it's difficult, and I feel the same thing happens in the Idaho 4 case. Right? We pick on certain people a lot. And then we get accused of being victim blaming because those people aren't that moment in time. Like there's more to their life than that moment in time. And maybe they made a wrong choice at that moment of time. And to be frank, sometimes that moment in time can be a bad couple of years. Like in your course of your lifetime, you're like, there was a period of years where I was in a bad place. And we tend to forgive people 10 years down the road and say, okay, I can overlook the fact that you had a bad couple of years. But when you're in the couple of years, nobody fucking wants to hear about your bad fucking couple of years. So I don't even know where I'm going with all this, other than to say human beings are complex, and we have good and we have bad traits. And it's hard to when you're dealing with true crime and you're pointing out the negatives, all the negatives. This is what you did wrong. You fucked up here. You fucked up there. And we bust their nuts all the time. But they're also human beings too, and so we need to kind of like just keep that in mind as we're working through the cases.
Right, and I think there's a difference between calling into question someone's professional conduct.
Yeah.
So that in certain cases, we're calling their professional or misconduct, however you want to word that, whichever way you're looking at it, and still, trying to grant grace, like you're saying, because in other areas, maybe they are really, great parent. Maybe they take care of elderly parents. I mean, whatever it is, we can recognize both things. Both things can be true. But when we are a true crime channel, we are, of course, going to call into question questionable actions by people, officials or potential witnesses or whatever it is, because that's the nature of what we do. So there is a fine line that has to be walked, but I see nothing wrong with taking to task, so to speak, someone's conduct on the bench as a prosecutor, as a defense attorney, whatever it may be. So those are my thoughts on that.
Real quick, I wanted to say thank you to Gulf Coast Bum Lizzie for being returning members. Also for Bianca and Crud Dog for sending 2 super chats, having a bone and a beer with us tonight. We appreciate all of you so much.
I love that. A bone and a beer.
Nice.
Awesome.
A bone and a beer.
Sounds like a good time to me.
Just to add something real quick too, and to add on to what Robin was saying, I agree 1,000%. Because when you're talking about like a judge and a prosecutor, you're talking about their integrity, and they're supposed to be held to a higher standard. So it's the same thing as like, you know, if like a police officer or whatever rank like gets caught like stealing from Macy's or something, should the book be thrown at them? Should they get the maximum penalty? Yeah, I feel they should, because your job that you do, like you're supposed to be held to a higher standard. So if you don't, if they're not demonstrating integrity, like they're clearly like, you know, without a doubt, someone is lying. There's an issue. There's an issue with that. When you're talking about going at, you know, death penalty and stuff like this. This is like serious. I don't know how much more serious you could get than that, at putting someone to death. So.
Right. Real quick, I just wanted to welcome Locked and Loaded, Catherine 67, Dr. Mama 2131, Carlene Shanks, and Crossroads Accounting Tax, I think it is. Welcome to the sauce. It's great to have these 5 new meatballs jumping in the sauce with us. Thank you very much.
We got gifts and memberships and super stickers flying out the ass over here. What's going on? I can't even keep up with it all. What were you going to say, JJ?
I was just going to say, there's a lot of compartmentalization that happens with a lot of people. You know, how many times have you heard like serial killers? Oh, they were a good husband. They were a good father. Or, you know, Ted Bundy. Oh, he seemed like this caring guy. He worked in a crisis center and things like this. The people have their public persona and then their private persona, which, you know, is more typically their internally who they really are. But a lot of CEOs do some pretty evil shit, but yet, they're family men and they have, you know,
maybe a great grandfather, but not necessarily.
Right. And so there's a lot of compartmentalization, and it certainly seems like that's the case when it comes to positions of power.
Yeah.
I think it's all about how we view people though, as well. You know, I mean, I look at my dad as somebody who can do no wrong, but if he actually did something wrong, would I be able to change my view of him? Like, wait, no, that's not how he truly is. You know, you don't know.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because
good point.
It's funny you mentioned that, because my mother, and you can, my mother's gone now, so you can bash her all you want. But my mother said to me something that I know a lot of mothers say, which is that she literally told me one time that's a difficult thing to hear, which is that there's nothing you can do that'll make me not love you. Even if I found out you were a serial killer, I would still accept you and love you as my son. And I'm thinking to myself, that's a hard thing to accept, right? Which is that how could you love somebody that you found out was a horrible person and was a serial killer? But that's why my mom kind of gave me this speech of like, look, you're always going to be my son. And even if I find out you did something horrible and you murdered somebody and whatever, I would still love you as your mother. And I'm like, so in that regards, again, you have to remember that some of these people who have done things, they have family who will love them no matter what they've done, kind of thing. And I don't know. I guess I'm getting all philosophical about it. The reason why I brought it up is because when I saw, the families of Kevin Mullins, it's like I do a lot of bashing of Kevin Mullins and how bad that county is. But you have to remember that these people have families. And again, I heard the family weeping in the courtroom, seeing their father, shot and killed on that video. And it's got to be difficult for the families. So my heart goes out to the families, even when we're talking about, and I guess where I'm going with this is that for me, I can set aside the person and their action. So if he did an action that was horrendous, he needs to be held accountable for those things. And so you can say, look, you may be a great guy in 99% of your life, but you fucked up in this situation and you need to be held accountable for that. So that's kind of where I'm going with a lot of these things, is that if you fucked up you're got to be held accountable for your fuck up. You may still be a good person mostly, but you still have to be held accountable for the fuck up you did and own it, right? So
of course.
Right.
Thank you, Jerry, for the Cash App that I just received from you. We appreciate you so much.
Very much so. Yeah.
So judges that let repeat violent criminals walk and said criminals kill someone, and someone said or kills the judge, did they have it coming? No. Good question. So judges that let repeated criminals walk and said criminals then kill someone, and someone kills said judge, did they have it coming? It's a long sentence. But I guess at the end of the day, what you're trying to say is, does the end justify the means? Something like that. And I don't think that's the case. No. I also don't believe in vigilante justice kind of thing, where people just go out and kill people because they decided you had it coming. Maybe that's kind of where you're going with that. But yeah. So
I have a question regarding that, TA, what you just said. We talked about the vigilante justice thing before. So you look at history, right? And there's a long and storied chain of events that show when governments become totalitarian and brutal dictatorships and things like that, even, genociding their own people or, attacking their own people. So that's on a bigger scale. But if society gets to a point where there is no justice, then there is no other way to solve it, because you can't ask dictators and criminals to be nice, because dictators and criminals, or whether they're psychopaths or whatever the case may be, they don't stop being psychopaths because people ask them to. Right. So I think if the system is working as it should, then no, vigilante justice is always a bad thing. But if you look at history, look at how has any corrupt government ever been overthrown by the people asking them to stop? And I know that's a bigger, zooming out sort of perspective, but if we get to a point in society where they're not prosecuting, like a narco tyranny, they're not prosecuting the bad people, they're arresting the good people who are trying to stop the bad things from happening. At what point, we're getting to that point in the world right now. So that's why I bring that up.
Yeah, and that's what the focus of that video that I did recently on vigilante justice is that we may be getting to a point where people feel like the system is failing us. In a lot of ways, the system is failing us. People aren't getting justice. Real quick to address A.R. Hayes' comment here about maybe it's possible Kohberger manned up and took the plea, and that's why his side is silent, because they just decided, look, I did it, and we're just going to fucking man up and admit to it, right? And that's always a possibility. We've always said at least I've always said on here, that there's, out of all the possible things that could have happened in this case, it's always possible Kohberger actually did it. He did plead guilty to it. Now, I think that it doesn't personally make as much sense as some of the other things out there, but it is possible. So who knows? And again, the truth will be coming, I guess, in the pudding on whether or not that window of post-conviction relief goes by and he doesn't appeal or ask for post-conviction relief. If the year goes by, and we hit August and no post-conviction relief comes in, then maybe that's exactly what it is. It's Kohberger saying, hey, I manned up, I took the plea deal, and it was me, and goes silently into the night, and he owned it right at the moment. But I still think that's coming, the post-conviction relief. Personally, I think it's coming, but I don't know. We'll see. Defense rest. Oh, we got Bronx Tales on here. I hear you, convex thoughts. I see where you're going. Okay, I think I could just read that. Bronx could just say it because she wrote it. I don't have to read it for you.
I said I can see where you think that, for sure. I think people have that view, of course. I just struggle making the evidence fit to BK. There's no transfer blood from victim to victim. And with that being said, either it's a different perpetrator or different weapon.
And I second that too. I've never been able to understand that.
I agree.
Can't make that fit, and I think that's the strongest part. But
yes, that's the hardest part, truly.
Yeah. And I agree. Like my gut tells me it didn't. I'll say it like I said it a million times. It didn't happen the way that he said it did. So if Kohberger had part in the crime, it didn't happen the way he said it did. I'm convinced of that. Now, if at the end of the day, it's okay with everybody in America that he just said it was that he did it alone, and even if he didn't, I don't know. But for me, there's no way it happened the way that he said it did. But that's me. But I've always accepted the possibility that maybe the right guy's in jail because maybe that's why he took the pleas, because maybe he did it and maybe he just owned it. I don't know. It's possible.
I don't believe we did, Logan.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I was like, did I miss it?
I
was
don't
asking
believe we
if you
did.
ever got camera footage from the Moyer house. I know they have a camera on their house. I saw it on Google Earth.
Right. No, I never saw it. I looked for it, but never saw anything. So I don't. Therefore,
they're not gonna show anything that contradicts their official story. That's
right. Now I was just getting ready to say what I was going to agree with Twiz on that.
Yeah.
Different perp, different weapon, different timeline, different story. That I can agree with because that makes sense at this point. So,
yeah, and that's where most of us are. That's why, I mean, and we're not saying that because we're just trying to keep a fucking true crime show going. That's how we legitimately feel looking at the evidence.
I wish this was over because I hate this case. I hate this case, and we've had this conversation before. Lee has made good point. I hate the case.
Yeah,
I like the case because it's so interesting, but I hate it at the same time, guys. That's the problem with this. Okay, I just wish it was. I wish it was over and we had real answers and real truth.
By the way. Kind of along the lines to something A.R. Hayes is saying, gosh, I wish in a way, and maybe I'll have to have my wife come on audibly to tell the story if I fuck it up so bad. My wife was, and I hope this will make sense to you. My wife was telling me this crazy story about an individual who apparently had gotten attacked in his sleep, like with like a hatchet to the head or some shit like that. But he survived it and woke up the next day, got up, did like the dishes and shit, didn't realize he had been hit in the head and was bleeding to death, and basically did yard work and shit and came back in his house and then collapsed and died. And I thought to myself, and that was like what really happened. But imagine how unbelievable that would be for anybody to believe that that's what happened, that he could get up and walk around having massive head injuries and then eventually collapse, not realize it. But you've heard stories before, people who have been shot and didn't realize they'd been shot and then died later. So I guess what I'm saying was when he says, well, maybe not all the evidence adds up. There are weird anomalies in cases where you're just like, that makes no fucking sense. How did that happen? So yes, it is possible that some pieces of evidence just don't make a lot of sense, but it happened that way. And some things are kind of almost unexplainable sometimes in the world.
But the thing is about that argument, in my opinion, is that there's not, we say this all the time. There's not just one or two or three or four inconsistencies between the official story and information that's come out later. There's an abundance of it. So if he's a guy and they had all the evidence to support it, then why do so many things not add up?
Yeah.
Why were you interviewing people that were highly suspicious but not pressing them at all? It's just
this guy right here. I'm sorry. You're right. But Twiz brought up that guy that was shot in the face. He'd actually had a bullet hole in his face during the interview. It took them a while during the interview for the police to realize that the guy they were interrogating for the murder actually had a bullet in his face from the crime. I remember that story. Holy shit. Sorry about that. Yeah. There's some crazy stories out there. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. These cases are very complex. And all I can say, the best we can do, this is my thing. The best we can do as a panel is what we walk it out. We talk it out together as a group. And we don't have a dog in the fight. We're just saying, this is what I see. And that's what we enjoy doing, is trying to figure it out. Like a lot of us like the mystery of it, right? Trying to figure out what actually happened. And at the end of the day, we're all just as curious to find out what happened as well. But
yeah.
I agree.
Oh, I remember that. He lived for like 3 years and then ended up passing away from all the complications, but he was sitting right in front of them with a dang bullet in between his eyes.
Yeah, during the interrogation.
Like, I don't know, man. I just want a hot dog. I don't know, man.
And I think he said he had a headache. Like, I have a headache. It's because he had a fucking bullet in his head. And he's like, man, I got a headache. Can I get I remember that. Like, oh my God.
When I watched it for the first time, it pissed me off. I'm like, this.
Yeah, it would piss you off. You're just like,
that was insane.
Yeah.
Very.
That was nuts. A case for the record books on that one, but anyways. So what else do you guys have on your mind? Because I don't have a specific topic other than generally I asked the question. So if you guys want to take it in a different direction, here I am saying, what do you guys talk? Yeah, I'm going to let you guys direct first before I redirect to something. So you got anything you want to talk about on your mind? Anything special, news that you saw, headlines, anything?
Do you guys think that crimes, that people get away with crimes more in small towns or big cities?
Well, I'm glad that's where I was going to segue to. I was going to segue to the idea that it. Yes. So I have to ask myself, that's a great question. In small rural communities, how often would a corrupt prosecutor or a corrupt law enforcement officer get away with fuckery for decades and decades because it's just such a small community that it never gets national attention. Nobody ever really, and everybody just in the county or whatever throws their hands up and realizes that you're never going to get justice in this town. How many places in the country are there like that, where if it's a small town, backwoods or off the radar type of place, they can get away with, I want to say, murder, right? Because no one's looking. And then it makes me ask the question, to finish that thought, did something like that happen with Moscow? Moscow is a very, very small place in the map. Could it be, it's a question, could it be that someone has gotten away with unprecedented, for example, conviction rates, never having lost or whatever, because nobody really looks, nobody pays attention. And some of the little stuff that they can get away with every single day, you wouldn't have that shit happen in Seattle or New York or a big city because there's too many people, too many attorneys, too many eyes on it. You couldn't get away with that shit. But can you get away with different things in a small town that you can't in big cities?
And see, I think it can go both ways, to be honest with you. I think like what you just said is absolute. I fully agree. But at the same time, in cities like Chicago and Cleveland and Los Angeles and stuff like this, I think there are crimes that are gotten away with because it is such a large metropolis or large city that there's a lot of things that get missed, or and New York for that matter. You know, I think one probably could, speak on this, that there's crimes and criminals that are just, they're not seen because there's so many other things going on at the same time. You can't focus on all of it. So I think it could go both directions, in my opinion. That's just my opinion.
The problem in New York is that no one stays in jail. So
well, that too. Yeah.
The laws like need to be changed, and that has nothing to do with the judge, or it's the laws got to be repealed and changed,
Right.
So I grew up in a small town, and I mean, the reason I can see it both ways is because I actually grew up in a small town, 8,000 or less. And the main attorney that you would hire in the town was only if it's all about who you know, and you hire this one attorney because we have one judge in the town and they're best friends. So if you hire that attorney, but it's also who you are and who your name is in the town, whether you're going to get arrested or not, or if it's going to be swept under the rug and ignored. A lot of the times it was our police officers that were doing these things. So
I think it makes sense. You said you were born in a small town, right?
Yep.
And your parents lived in a small town?
Yeah, until I was about 18-ish, and then I moved to a bigger city.
Could you breathe in a small town?
She caught it. I wanted to see who was going to catch it first.
I knew where you were going with that, but I didn't want to mess it up.
I still don't know what was said.
John Mellencamp song.
Yeah, that's why I went there. I wanted to see it. I thought Lee would get it.
I was born in a small. I do get it, but I was reading a comment that was throwing me off and trying to find a way to pin it. So
are you familiar with John Cougar Mellencamp, Logan?
Of course. What was his real name?
No.
I used
John
to always
Mellencamp.
tell people. Yeah, I used to always tell people, his real middle name is not Cougar.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's funny. I love it. But yeah, that song, as soon as you did that, I was like, I have to say this.
I was born in a small town.
In a small town.
Robin caught it. Good for you, Robin. I seen you smile, and I was like, she got it. She got it.
The flip side then would be large cities where,
yes,
crime goes unnoticed because they're big, or you can't catch them because they're so big and nobody talks, and
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I
like Twiz's comment here about he says, I don't think it has anything to do with the size of the city, depends on how much power the person is connected to. I think that is true in many cases. It depends on, like Logan said, who you know.
Yeah.
What kind of, can you count on someone to have your back if you mess up or you want to prosecute somebody and they'll go along with you? I mean, so I like that comment. I think that could be very true.
Yep,
I think the problem with small towns in particular is that a lot of times the judge and the attorney and the law enforcement officer all went to school with each other, and they all know each other from high school. And so it's personal relationships. Like you, and then you have to ask, can they really be unbiased in a case, or does that friends factor in that, hey, look, I trust you, and if you made this arrest, it's a good arrest. Like I got you, bro. We've been buddies since high school, and if you say it's a good arrest, it's a good arrest. And and what happens when the guy that you're saying I've known you since high school arrested somebody incorrectly because the guy was sleeping with his wife and he didn't share that with you, and you're just like, I got you, bro. I trust you. Like the good old boy factor of they all know each other could tend to lead to corruption because you're going to look the other way for your buddies.
Look at Noah Presgrove, Idaho, Delphi.
Yeah.
How many cases have we looked at and looked into? And there's so many more in the back end of what I've covered that they're all that good old boy mentality. And it's like, you almost know what's going to happen, before you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's one of them things.
There's a case very close, pretty much just a hop, skip, and jump across the creek where I was born and raised that is widely known, and I won't touch it because people know who I am. Obviously, I was born and raised there, and everybody knows pretty much what actually happened, and there's been no arrest because of who that person is, and I won't touch it because it's too close.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
Agreed. Yeah, and I just have to call out the fact that you said the word crick.
Crick.
Yeah. Across the creek, Chewy.
Across the creek.
Love it.
That's us.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So we know that JJ will always get away with everything because
Yeah.
Membership has its benefits.
Gotta love it.
So Lee, I got a bunch of stuff on this if you want me to dive in. I got a few things. So I won't go into every single one right away, so I'm never ending talking, but I have 10 ways small town justice can go wrong. The first one on my list here is community pressure for immediate answers. So in a small town, a shocking crime shakes everyone. Residents often personally know the victims' families, the investigators. The entire community wants closure quickly. This pressure can push investigators towards the first plausible suspect rather than continuing to explore every possibility. In high-profile cases like the Delphi murders of Liberty German and Abigail Williams, the demand for answers can be overwhelming.
Yeah, I want to stop right there. It's a great point. I remember people erupting and cheering on the courthouse steps when they convicted Richard Allen. They got him! And I'm like, I don't even know if you motherfuckers even know the details of the case. You just want somebody so bad to be responsible for the horrendous crime that it doesn't matter for you other than they got somebody and put somebody away. It makes you feel better at the end of this. You sleep better because they got someone. And I doubt you even know the case. Like, it just is... It baffles me that people care more that somebody went down for it.
Right.
And it doesn't even matter if it's the right person. Yeah.
Like, it's kind of almost like what we see in Idaho as well.
Yes, absolutely.
That's how I feel about it, at least. Real quick, I'm sorry. Let me say this. Congrats to the 5 new meatballs jumping in sauce. Mama Cannoli, love that name. 3615. KDS from NS and Fox One and Socks, welcome and thank you for being part of the community. But yeah, Idaho is absolutely what I'm. As soon as you said that, that's exactly what I thought, Lee. So just saying.
Yeah.
honestly.
Second thing on my list here, I got tunnel vision during investigations. That once investigators develop a theory, they may unconsciously begin to prioritize evidence that supports it, and they dismiss evidence that contradicts it. This is called confirmation bias. Tunnel vision has been identified in many wrongful convictions, later overturned by DNA evidence.
Yeah, real quick, let's riff on that a bit. And by the way, JJ, I've got that book, and I think what Twiz was even hinting at it as well when he said something about the CIA and Manson. I'm excited to read that book. In fact, I'm probably going to start doing it for members only as a read through and doing my review of that for members only. So, thanks for bringing that up again. But yeah, I think more often than not, actually, and personally, and it's not just a small town thing. Once they've decided on who a suspect is, it's not even just confirmation bias. It's a matter of, we believe we got the right guy, and I don't want anything that will cause question into it. And so they purposely don't want to look for anything that might question their suspect, because they're convinced. Here's the thing. They might be convinced it's the right guy, and they just literally don't want anything getting in there that might question that, because they're convinced they got the right guy. So what they don't want to do is they don't want to confuse a jury with facts. So they're like, look, let's just not ask that question because we do got the right guy. And it's a blindness. It's a need to get a conviction. And then they just like, if I ask the right questions, I'm just going to cause somebody to have doubts. I don't want anybody to have doubts. I don't want to put this in the hands of a jury who will fuck this up. So I'm just going to make sure that we only present the case that shows that this guy did it. And I think that's happens more than you think.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
I do agree.
Yeah. All right. What else you got? Yeah.
Number 3 on my list, I got limited investigative resources. So small counties often lack advanced forensic labs, specialized investigators, and large evidence analysis teams. Because of this, departments may rely on outside agencies, limited testing resources, and incomplete investigative tools. Errors can occur when complex cases exceed local capacity.
And how does that factor in, for example, with Idaho, Moscow would be considered kind of a small police department, but they had FBI and Homeland Security resources dumped on them from the get-go. And the coffers opened up in Idaho for the get-go. So yeah, normally they would be overwhelmed with their inadequacy to deal with such a big case, but they got flooded with big dollars and support on that case. It's an interesting question. Yeah.
Yeah. Number 4, I got political pressure on prosecutors. Many county prosecutors are elected officials. Solving a high-profile case can bring media attention, political prestige, and re-election advantages. That environment can unintentionally create pressure to secure a conviction rather than admit uncertainty.
So I think if I understand that correctly, that is a major thing. Prosecutors, people get advancements in careers by their conviction and closure rates. And so getting convictions is the fast path to getting yourself promoted. And in the case of Long Island serial killer case, we saw Spoda, a district attorney, who rose up through the ranks because he had an unprecedented win rate because he was good at getting people to, give plea deals and admit that they did guilt. And so he had an unprecedented rate, and that rose him up the ranks and got him promoted to district attorney. And eventually he went to jail for things. But that is the way the game's played. Conviction numbers and your closure rates are important. And these people look at it as a career move to only take cases they can win, or to make sure that they arrange it so that they win, so that their rates go good. And then they get promoted as, this guy never loses a fucking case. He should be the next governor, so.
Yeah. Thank you, Gulf Coast, for the super sticker and my scream name for being a believer today. We appreciate you guys.
Nice.
Awesome.
My scream name?
My scream name. I love that.
That is awesome.
That's pretty cool. I like that too.
My scream name.
Number 5 on my list here, Lee, you've mentioned this a few times. Overcharging to force plea deals.
Yeah.
Prosecutors sometimes file the most severe charges possible early in a case. This can dramatically increase the stakes for the defendant. The strategy often works like this: initial charge, extremely severe penalty, plea offer, reduced charge with guaranteed sentence. The risk of losing a trial can become so great that defendants accept deals even when they believe they are innocent.
You see that in any cases we've looked into?
Everyone, it's just, America throws the book at you and then just figures that, well, if I didn't get you on, you did something wrong, so I'll just throw the book at you and something's going to stick. So you might as well, you might as well confess because we'll get you on something.
Since we see that so often now, I wonder when that became like a thing. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Everybody caught on to it. Like, well, we're just going to overcharge because something will stick.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know when it became a thing, but when I used to have Ali Benevento on the show a lot before she got super busy, and I just stopped asking her to come on because she's so busy. But she said the same thing, like with Luigi Mangione. She goes, "This is a classic example of overcharging. They overcharge everyone in America now. They throw all kinds of shit on there, and it's just one of those. Something's going to stick. So the defense attorney has to fight 40 million fires, and they'll win some, but some of them will stick, and that way the person still goes down for something."
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Did you guys hear about that guy? I think it was overseas, like in Europe somewhere, and it was a guy who was a PDF file, and he was found in a shallow grave, or no, a deep grave with like 20 stab wounds in his back, and they ruled it a suicide.
Right?
True story.
Right?
That's as bad as the Ellen Greenberg case. That they ruled that a suicide twice. And explain to me how you did that to the back of your head, or what you just said too.
Yeah.
Well, some of the Austin, Texas suspicious deaths were like ridiculous. Like people duct taped and beat up. Oh, they were drunk and they just,
taped themselves out.
Bizarre,
They duct taped themselves and threw themselves in the water. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some of the most ridiculous narratives, all so they could keep denying that there was a serial killer in the area.
Lady Bird Lake, Austin, Texas, the same shit. Absolutely the same stuff. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'll be there. I'll be in Austin in June. So maybe I'll do a little man on the street investigation.
Make sure you keep your phone charged.
Yeah.
What's the next one there?
Do you got more?
Number 6 on my list here. Small jury pools. In small towns, jurors may know the victims, know investigators, know attorneys, have strong opinions formed from local media coverage. Finding an impartial jury becomes more difficult. This is why defense teams often request change of venue in major cases.
Yeah, I mean, that's the tricky part. I mean, finding an impartial jury is super. That's it's a sticky wicket, because what they'll say is you don't have to have a jury that has never heard of the case, because we always get these questions like, well, how are they going to find a jury that hasn't ever heard of this case? And that counter I'll hear is the standard isn't that they've never heard of the case. The standard is, can they still be impartial? And that's just a question they ask. They'll just literally ask the jury, have you heard of this case? Yeah. Well, can you still be impartial? Sure. Okay. Then you could be on the jury. Like, it doesn't, it's not true that if they've heard of the case, they're off. They just have to be able to convince somebody that they can still somehow be impartial. But in a small community, when, like Letcher County, Whitesburg, Kentucky, right? When a small community, I'll guarantee you anyone on that jury probably knows Mickey Steins, knows Kevin Mullins, knows maybe both of them, knows Ben Fields. If you know all the people personally, can you truly be impartial? Even if you say, yeah, I can be impartial. But is there a part of you that's like, dude, I know this guy from high school. He was an all right guy.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
Number 7 here, reliance on confessions. Confessions are powerful in court, but they are not always reliable. False confessions can happen due to psychological pressure, long interrogations, fear of harsher punishment, and mental stress. Studies of wrongful convictions show false confessions appear in a significant number of cases later overturned.
By the way, a perfect example of that, obviously, the one that jumps to the mind is Richard Allen, somebody that was pressured 13 months in solitary confinement to the point that he began having psychosis and eating his feces and stuff like that. We know about his plight now, about how bad it was, and that could have led to a false confession. But somebody asked me the other day, in the Idaho 4 case, Brian Koberger was pretty much silent for 3 years. Nobody heard anything from Kohberger. How do we know Kohberger wasn't mistreated in prison or abused in prison and confessed because of a similar situation that happened that we don't know about because he's been so silent about? How do we know?
Great question.
It's a good question.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah.
Right.
So just food for thought.
Absolutely.
Number 8 here, media echo chambers. In smaller communities, information spreads rapidly through local news, social media, word of mouth. Narratives can become fixed very quickly, and once public opinion forms, it can influence witnesses, jurors, investigators.
Say that again.
Which part? The whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
The part where you started and then the part where you
media ended. The number 8 here is media echo chambers.
Yeah.
In smaller communities, information spreads rapidly through local news, social media, and word of mouth. Narratives can become fixed very quickly, and once public opinion forms, it can influence witnesses, jurors, and investigators.
Yeah, I mean, that is probably the primary thing I bitch about on my channel, which is that we convict people in the court of public opinion before they ever step into the courtroom, and the media tells us how to feel about a convicted person or an accused person, and therefore they become convicted in the eyes of the public before they ever step foot in the courtroom. So yeah.
Thank you, Bianca, for the 5 gifted memberships. We appreciate you so much. Welcome to all our new turtles tonight.
Yeah. And by the way, somebody here in the chat, the Hulksterist, right, says leaked information. How many times has the media? I want to ask this as just a general side question. How many times has the media swayed public opinion by saying really good sources on the inside and inside information told us? We can't tell you who it is, but we have it on good authority that. Do people trust the media? And I know it's getting less and less today, but does that have an effect on people that you don't have to tell me who your source is? If the media tells us, good sources tell us this is what's said, generally do people go, oh, well, shit, that's now fact because my media friend told us that a good source tells us this is what's happening on the inside.
Perfect example. Ashley Skeletor, you guys know who I'm talking about. She made a statement in the Nancy Guthrie case where she said those exact words, Lee. She said, I get it from a very, very good source, a very top resource, that Tommaso, whatever, is the prime suspect in the Nancy Guthrie abduction. What?
Yeah.
And then in turn, there's rumor popped up that after the fact that the family may have been thinking about filing suit against her, and her and Savannah were real good friends at one point. So there again, people believed it, and as soon as they heard that, they ran with it, and it was everywhere on the internet after that. So it does happen. It does happen.
Yeah.
Well, when has the media ever been held accountable for misinformation?
They're not.
Very rarely ever.
Never.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, there were court cases. There were the ones that I'm familiar with. Where there was one with Fox News and one with MSNBC, where they were being sued for providing false information or maybe it was slanderous or something. And in both cases, the court determined that, well, people should know that they're just giving their opinion. So basically, the news has no obligation to tell the truth.
I do want to ask Twiz, I think Twiz was responding to your question, when has the media ever been held accountable? And he said, Nick Sandeman. Do you guys know about that case? They said they paid him millions. Was there a case where the media got their nuts crushed on misinformation on Nick Sandeman? I don't know Nick Sandeman's case. Does anybody know that case?
That's that was the one where it was the Native American guy. There was like the protest, Charlottesville, I think. And they basically were like demonizing this kid because like they were saying he was being like racially insensitive or something, because there was a Native American man that got right in his face.
Okay.
And it
yeah. I remember this.
Yeah, and it came out that, you know, the other guy initiated it. But that's lawsuits are not being held accountable.
You guys,
these guys, I mean,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
For the most part, media runs complete. Look, there's a lot of protections for media to be able to use their freedom of speech, their First Amendment right to say things and be protected. The media has gotten themselves a really good and to be, for the most part, I have to say I'm actually okay with it, because I'd rather have freedom of speech in the country than to have them shut down and tell the media what they're allowed to say and what they're not allowed to say. So on the one hand, I actually kind of favor freedom of speech defenses, but they do have a lot of leeway to kind of get away with a lot.
But I personally think there should be criminal charges for misleading the public, right?
Yeah.
Because they have this big platform and a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to show. You remember this? The picture of this guy?
I don't remember this, but you guys, I know a lot of you do, so yeah.
Yeah, he was in the news a lot. So I just wanted to show people if you see the picture, a lot of people probably remember.
So this is Nick Sandmann in the red hat, being approached by a Native American, and they tried to claim that he was a racist kid or something.
He's wearing a Make America Great
MAGA hat. Yeah.
Right.
Gotcha. But
I guess the point that I was going to close with is just, I mean, individuals can file lawsuits, but these are gazillion-dollar organizations backed by infinite financial resources. So lawsuits are never going to stop them. There should be laws in place that hold them accountable, but there are not. And it's unfortunate because a lot of people believe what the mainstream media says.
Right. Yeah, and I used to be one of those people, to be fair. When the media would say on really good authority, I assumed it was some law enforcement insider that has information about the case that we don't know. And if he says that's the case, I used to be that guy that would be like, oh, well, I'm sure they're talking to law enforcement. And if law enforcement tells them that, hey, look, there's evidence that you guys can't know, but right now, wink, wink, nod, nod, I'm telling you, this guy's guilty. They must know.
I think we all were that person up until we realized and learned that, what actually happens. At some point, we had no reason to not believe the media.
Right.
So
Yep.
It's kind of sad, actually. We should be able to believe in the media. Back when we in the 80s, when we was children, I think the news was more real and more like to the point, and realistic. But
I don't want to side tangent too much, but I want to say that, so I don't know if this is going to be, you're going to understand this, but if I'm an investigative journalist and I have somebody that's going to blow the lid off of, let's say, the Idaho 4 case, somebody knows insider information. One of the protections media has is not having to be compelled to give up their inside information, their source, right? Because it could get somebody killed. If they give up their inside information to somebody, that can get them killed. And so the media has been protected to be able to hide their inside sources. Snowden was another example when he was giving up secrets of the government. He kept a lot of his inside sources, and that's a protection of the media. And again, part of me is glad those protections exist, because I would hate to tell somebody, look, I'll never tell anybody what you're saying. Just give me the information and I'll help you with it. And then be compelled to give up their name and get them killed because they trusted me. And so I'm glad that there's protections in a way for the media to not have to reveal. So it's a double-edged sword, really.
That definitely is. Yeah.
All right. Is there another point on that list?
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 9. We're here. So just to remind people, we're talking about ways that small town justice can go wrong. So we got institutional loyalty. Small departments often function like close families. That can be positive, but it also means mistakes may be harder to acknowledge. Officers may hesitate to question colleagues. Early investigative decisions. This can prevent early correction of errors.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to give an example because I don't know if it's a great example, but even in the case of Ben Fields, Mickey Steins, Mickey Steins knew when Ben, what's the matter with your cup there, Dago? You're out of coffee?
It's empty and I'm not happy about it, damn it. I'll be right back.
They're throwing a fucking tantrum.
Look.
Fill your drink.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, like even like I said, when this thing came out about Sabrina Atkins versus Ben Fields, Mickey went to him, had a private conversation, like, dude, I'm hearing this shit about you. Why didn't you tell me? But it's a private conversation because it becomes the, hey, we're buddies. Like, tell me this isn't true kind of thing. And so sometimes people don't do the right things because they're like, it's, they're just trying to work it out with their buddy. And like, hey, look, I'm not going to now that in that case, it did get reported, but how many times does somebody come to you and you just kind of like, well, look, I'm not going to report this, but tell me this isn't true. And, I don't know. It's interesting.
Thank you, Yuri, for the super sticker. I appreciate you so very much. Hemisphere had it said, I don't know, maybe it's me thinking wrong, but it bothers me to hear the media say that Brian Koberger admitted to killing the Idaho 4 for taking the plea deal without a documented confession. And I think that fits in well with, I don't remember who said it just a minute ago, but holding people accountable, because had they even just asked him, it would have held both of them accountable.
Yeah. Yeah.
The prosecution and Brian.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I agree.
Right.
Well,
and
because he said it in the plea hearing, they said, you remember the whole spiel.
Yes.
That you agree that you did this, alone or whatever, and all those things
with malice and forethought.
Right. And questions like, are you pleading guilty because you are guilty? Right. Yeah. So that's how they get around this. Like, so it's not that he's just saying again, it's not a plea of like, I plead guilty because I had to. They try to make you say, are you pleading guilty because you actually are guilty? Is this because you actually did those crimes? Is it, is anybody forcing you to make this plea deal? So they're trying to get around the whole, it's just a formality that they pled guilty to get the death penalty off by saying, it's not just a formality. You literally said, I'm pleading guilty because I did it, not because I'm trying to avoid. Because they ask, "Are you doing this to avoid some other punishment? Are you pleading guilty to avoid the?" They basically ask that. Are you pleading guilty to avoid the death penalty? What they say is, or are you pleading guilty because you actually did it? And they have to answer in the affirmative. I'm pleading guilty because I actually did it. But again, it's still, you don't get a plea deal if you don't say those words.
The thing is I was asked the same thing when I was in court for my stupid little crime that I didn't do. And I said the same thing. Are you pleading guilty because you are guilty? Well, yes, because I don't want to go to prison for 4 years. That's why I'm saying I'm guilty, because then I just get probation.
Right. And that's my point, if you didn't catch it, which is that if you had not answered, yes, I'm pleading guilty because I am guilty, they would have taken your plea deal away. So you have to say that. It's required for you to admit, yes, I did it. I'm pleading guilty because I did it, because that's required, or the plea deal's off. So you know that you can't plead guilty in any other way other than to say, yes, I actually did it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I got number 10 and then two closing points here. So number 10, closure over certainty. When a community has suffered tragedy, people want the nightmare to end. An arrest can bring relief, but the emotional desire for closure can sometimes overshadow the slower, more uncomfortable process of fully testing the evidence. And why does this matter? What's so special about this topic? Discussions about systemic pressure are not about defending criminals. They are about protecting the integrity of the justice system. When the wrong person is convicted, the real perpetrator remains free. Victims' families never receive true justice, and the public trust erodes. That's why the tension between justice and certainty remains such an important issue in criminal law. And the last point, cases like Delphi, where Richard Allen was arrested years after the murders, raise difficult questions about how investigations evolve under public pressure. The central question becomes, is the system pursuing truth or simply resolution? Sometimes those two paths lead to the same place. Sometimes they don't.
Yeah, real quick. And by the way, thanks to, it looks like my wife is out there doling out our income to people and gift memberships. It's awesome. I appreciate that for giving gifts. Twiz has got a point that's been pinned on the thing for a little bit. And that was interesting to point out too. If I think what he's saying is, if Koberger's plea is to say, yes, I'm guilty because I'm legally guilty, what it basically is a way of saying, if I'm understanding him, is I'm guilty because the facts that you have allowed to be presented say that I'm guilty. It's not the same as I did it, but more I'm guilty because the facts that you have forced me to accept that will say that I'm guilty. So yeah, I'm guilty based on the facts that you've presented.
That is a great point.
Yeah. So what else?
Huge.
I heard a echo there for a second.
Hello.
Hello. Just come back from Corbett Canyon.
Bueller.
I'm convinced that Brian is a decoy because this case makes no sense at all. Yeah, I do believe the case makes very little sense in a lot of ways. Here's the thing, though. We're all anticipating a big shocker moment to come, and most of the time, convictions don't get overturned for decades. It's usually decades later when they're an old man, and then they go, oh, you know what? Our bad. He probably shouldn't have been in jail for the last 30 years or 40 years. Here you go. You're old. Go ahead and come out. And that's usually when you find out that they overturned someone's conviction. Could it really happen fast for him? Because traditionally, it doesn't happen fast. It's a very, very long process to prove your guilt.
I think it would depend on how it happens and what the basis of it is. And I think that if it does, then I think we'll see what the strategy was the whole time. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if it does at all, ever. Okay. But if it doesn't, then that's going to tell a different story, in my opinion.
All right. So, did you get your refill on coffee? You did. You got your refill on coffee. Very good. However, my earlier coffee thing has made me have to run to the little boys' room. So you guys continue this conversation without me. I'll be right back as well.
You do your thing. I think Logan did the same thing. So I just heard of a guy that got $1 million settlement for being falsely convicted of a crime that didn't happen. The crime never happened. That is insane. So the crime never happened, and the guy was convicted of a crime also that never happened.
That never happened. Oh my God.
And like you said, but yeah, let's trust this justice system. I'm down. That's crazy. See?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's no wonder that people are so distrustful because shit like that goes on. So this system is
that's an interesting point.
Like,
it's an interesting point.
That's crazy. I mean, first
it's
off,
an interesting point that he made up because what we keep, JJ's talked about it a few times, and it looks like, although, it sounds like far out of reach, but not really with the AI stuff. We're going to predictive policing, and we may have a minority report kind of system in not too long. So people are going to be, arrested or incarcerated before they even commit a crime.
Well, what if a lot of crimes that we're told about are not what we've been told at all, and a lot of the basis behind what we are told is so they can forward these multi-billion-dollar agendas that we know for a fact the government has invested in, and we know that Othram Labs has all of a sudden come on the scene hard and strong. And in this case, in the Idaho 4 case, as I said the other night, if they found the murder weapon and they found a bunch of DNA on the crime scene, then it wouldn't make Othram look like these rock stars, and they wouldn't be able to push that narrative like, oh my God, look how amazing they are. They had just a speck of DNA, because if there was tons of DNA, any lab could have come up with that. So my point is the bigger point. A lot of these high profile cases, as I've said it more times than you guys probably want to hear, look at what happens as a result of these big high profile cases.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to go back to somebody that said, maybe BK was just coming clean and owning what he did. If that was the case, I do want to correct this. Why didn't Brian give us the knife? Why didn't he tell us what happened with the knife? Why, if his role was, I just want to come clean, then tell us what you did, or give us something that proves to everyone in America that there's no question you did it. Because if you're really going to own it, then own it and let us know. And Bill Thompson's excuse of, well, we didn't ask him for details because you can't believe anything he would have said anyways, is fucking horseshit.
Bullshit.
They didn't want him telling details because he would have fucked it up. He would have given details that were not correct, and then it would have made his plea look wrong. They'd be like, well, maybe you didn't do it. Kind of like Delphi, when fucking Richard Allen talked about using a gun, like shooting a gun in the crime, and then the gun was never fired. And you're like, but they just ignore that. The jury doesn't hear that he confessed to shit that didn't fucking happen, because it would call into question his confession. Well, wait a minute. You just admitted you did something that it doesn't fit the crime. That didn't happen. Oh, well, shit. Maybe you didn't do the crime if you can't get it right.
Yeah. And I think that's huge, Lee. What you just said, I think, is huge in the Idaho 4 case, because, that's the answer to it right there. There's what him and Hitler both said was the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life, that you wouldn't understand it. His level of whatever the hell he said it was the stupidest shit I've ever heard. I can't even repeat it. Is why they didn't allow him to talk. That's bullshit. They didn't want him to talk because he didn't have the information to tell them. So therefore, in turn, if he did go forward to say something, it was going to be a lie. It was it would have blew his plea. I agree with you.
I know I've said it before, but I want you to, as I say, listen. What Bill Thompson said was, we were afraid that if he gave a confession, it would weaken his plea deal. Think about what he said. The reason being is because he knows Kohberger could have said something that was inaccurate and was not consistent with the crime, and then it would weaken his plea deal. If he admits to something that didn't happen, he could fuck up his own plea deal. They didn't want Kohberger telling what happened because they were afraid if he told it, that it would become obvious that he wasn't there. And so they didn't want him to say it.
I think he was smart enough to be able to say what he wanted to say without actually maybe saying it.
Yep.
So people could read between the lines and
Now let me play catch 22, or let me play devil's advocates to that. Could a really smart criminal purposely in their confession confess to some detail that they know is not correct, that they actually did. They did the murder, and then make up something that they did that wasn't true to cast doubt into their own confession.
Yes.
Like, could they play that long game? Like, I'm just going to admit to something that didn't happen. Then they'll call into question whether I actually did it or not.
5D test. Yes.
Right.
I think
that sounds like a good movie script.
Go ahead, Logan.
I think at the end of the day, just show us where the knife is. If you can't produce the knife, then,
Right. Somebody in the chat said the same thing. I'm still wondering, this was from Gulf Coast Bum. I can't even say it. Still wondering how they can be sure the sheaf was connected to the missing murder weapon. We don't have the knife. To this day, we don't have the knife. We're going on a mysterious, this knife sheath must have been attached to the murder weapon, but there's no murder weapon. There never has been a murder weapon. Nope. So where is the murder weapon? And it baffles me that they literally admit no one's even asked Brian where the murder.
They didn't even look for it.
They've never even asked him where it's at. So yeah,
because they know that he doesn't know. That's my opinion.
Right. Because he didn't probably have the weapon,
which in turn tells you that they know who truly did this. In my opinion, honestly, that's my thought on it too.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna play devil's advocate with myself, and I'm gonna basically say, all right, let's say Kohberger is guilty, right? We know the narrative behind all of that. What the mainstream narrative has been, and official narrative has been, is bullshit, right? Because there's nothing that supports that narrative. He was an incel and he was stalking them, and which we don't have evidence of, at least based on what they have released and what they've told us. So let's just say he is guilty. I think that the only scenario, in my opinion, in which he is guilty is if there was something else going on and shit was being covered up and they needed to, if he was connected to it, I'm not saying sole perpetrator, that there was still corruption going on. I think under any circumstance, regardless of who the perpetrator or perpetrators was, that there is corruption in this case. So, because that's the one thing I'm sure of. So, if he is in fact guilty, there's still corruption in the case based on everything and the way it's played out. Now, I don't believe that he was the sole perpetrator. I can't say for sure that he had nothing whatsoever, like no connection to it at all. But everything I've seen screams corruption, whether he's the person or not. There's still, in my opinion, corruption in this case.
Yeah, for sure.
No matter what. Yeah.
Yeah. No matter what, there's corruption.
I want to ask a question on something that Bronx put in the chat over here. It says there was also a Kershaw knife in evidence. Do we remember where that came from? Explain that. Like, first off, what is that? And where did you see it? Because I never saw that. I'm not saying you're wrong. I want to know.
Sorry, I was muted. Sorry.
Okay.
A Kershaw knife is a flip out knife. It's not a fixed blade. It's double edged. Okay. It's like a large pocket knife, but large. And if you look on the sheets of evidence that are just listed in evidence, it'll say like evidence number and then whatever it is. It's on there and it says Kershaw knife.
Is that the knife maybe that they pulled from the Pennsylvania house when they did it that didn't have a description possibly?
It very well could have been, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I never knew that. Now, speaking of knives, that just reminded me of something. Have you guys ever heard of an air knife before?
An air knife?
Because I never did till today. It is a knife. I'll show you what it is, too. And somebody brought this, I think it was Kim, when she was talking to us today. She said it was something that she was introduced to, and it made her think about the possibility of it being used because of what happened to Kaylee with her face. This blew my mind because I've never seen nor heard of this. It's called a wasp knife, okay? And an air knife. You actually, you guys know the pellet guns and the BB guns that they have the little tanks, the air tanks that go in them?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is a knife that, and I'm going to show it to you right now. This is a knife that you actually put one of those little, there's a name for it. I can't think of what it's called, and I was thinking of it, and the way she described it, she was like, think about this. It was literally eye-opening. If you were to stab somebody with this, as you do it, as you're going in, it blows up whatever you're stabbing with air, okay? And I was thinking to myself, oh, holy shit, it's got CO cartridge. That's what it is. Thank you. I couldn't believe, I've never heard of this before. It exists. I have one. I'm trying to pull it up to show you. Like, I was blown away immediately. If that was something, because they were talking about.
So what was the design function of a knife that blows air when you stab something with it?
I don't know if it's a combat knife. If it looks like one. If it's as you stab into something, it blows up whatever you're stabbing at the same time, with the air. And I'm thinking, like, the way she explained with Kaylee's face being so distorted, you know what I mean? And I'm trying to be nice when I say it, but it made me wonder, like, holy shit, that would make some sense. And if they were talking about she was stabbed in the face, okay, so I had to wonder, like, I asked the same question at first, like, why the hell would you even create something like a knife that has a CO cartridge in it? You know what I mean? But it's interesting. I'm trying to pull it up right now. I had it sent to me this afternoon on my show. I'm just trying to remember. There it is. Bingo. Here we go. Okay. Is it going to load for me? Yes. There we go. And it explains it. It's called a wasp knife as well. Get off there.
How come I'm not seeing it loaded backstage?
Because I'm still loading it, sir. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I'm reading about an air knife, and it's a completely different type of knife. So I'm curious if this is a different knife. Let me see.
She explained it as an air knife, and it's also called, like I said, a wasp knife. There it is, Lee.
Okay.
So there it is. And as you can see, it looks like a standard knife. You see the valve here. You load the CO2 cartridge in the handle, and it ejects. I need to blow this up a bit. I'm sorry. It's not letting me do that. Wait a minute. wasp injection CO2 knife, currently marked as defense knife for divers, hunters, outdoorsmen. Learn why it's so different from other knives, and it explains what it does. And so the thought of what she explained when she explained this to me, I was like, oh my God, that would be it. Could make some sense depending on how much pressure it releases as it does its thing. You know what I mean?
So I am reading about the wasp knife in particular. It was designed for divers to stab sharks and it basically explode their internal organs and stuff, rupture their organs by injecting air into the body when they stab them, kind of thing, for defense underwater. Does that sound like?
So here's my thought. I think this is where she was going with it. With the internal cranial fractures that were inside Kaylee's skull, things like that, the pressurized, depending on how much pressure this is, if it can do that to a shark, I think it could do some damage to a human being. Okay. So I'm just thinking, Jesus Christ, if you once you go into this, kerploo, it blows, and it's like, God bless America. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, and there's a note about it that said the wasp knife is controversial because of how destructive it is. So, I mean, obviously, if it was used for underwater thing, but somebody used it above land and it causes extra damage to a human being, that's horrible.
Yeah, of course.
That's some scary shit.
I had never, and it looks dangerous to begin with. I mean, with serrated sides and this and that and everything else, but it's just like, Jay, I can't even imagine the effect this thing would have, and it really kind of blew my mind. So. I just remembered it. And I wanted to share that with you guys just to show it to you because I had never heard of this until today.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it either. Now, I want to be clear to people that we're not even remotely suggesting this is what.
No, this is absolutely.
It's just more of a interesting conversation things. Apparently, the price of an air knife is only about $500 to $600, so it's not terribly more expensive than a lot of knives out there, actually.
No.
Which surprised me. I would have thought something that was kind of specialized that this would be really expensive. But
$600 for this one we saw when it was found today. So I was like, wow. And you get the 3 cartridges with it. And I have to wonder because because I used to have a very, very high powered pellet gun, like a handgun, and you can get different size and pressured cartridges for these. So I got to wonder what the limit is, so on and so forth, and if it could be something that you could use that was, a lot stronger than the standard. I don't know, but it was just something that really opened my eyes a little bit. Holy wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is,
and it definitely is only purely speculation, folks. That's all.
Yeah.
Wow.
I never even knew it existed.
Yeah. My mind is kind of sitting on that for a minute, but
yeah, I can't even imagine. Wow.
I mean,
That's a good point.
Bang says, I think Kaylee's face got beaten with a handgun or a butt of a rifle stock. They did say her face had line marks on it.
That's true.
And there was a lot of people that said
they said that.
That there was some kind of, remember when we were watching body camera footage, there was a lot of butts of rifles from officers that had those lines on it. And they're like, doesn't that look like the same kind of lines that were on? Well, I haven't seen the lines on Kaylee's face, so I can't tell you that it matches up with anything because nobody's seen that. But
there was a lot of things, a golf club and all that too, that came out. Go ahead, Logan. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just going to say, I'll never budge from that being the butt of a gun on her face.
No,
I will always think that blunt force and all that just adds up for me.
It just makes perfect sense.
So let me ask you guys a question. How confident is everybody here that there was in fact a CI in the house? Like that video that we all saw, that sounded pretty convincing to me that they said one of the victims was a CI. How confident are you guys on that?
I'd say easy 75% for me or better.
Yeah.
That there's a CI
or better.
High percent.
Mainly because of the way he said it. He kind of whispered and pulled him to the side and said, by the way, I don't know if you knew this, but
one of the victims was a CI. Yeah. I think it's very high confidence. Yeah.
I'm there too.
And because it's high confidence, it means to me that there's high potential for fuckery and lies about what happened in the case.
Yes.
So one, I think it's highly probable now that a CI wasn't one of the victims. And if so, then it's highly likely, if it was, that they're lying about shit because of it. So I think those two things go hand in hand.
And a CI being murdered in a house where cops are actively circling that house specifically at that time of night undercover?
Yes.
Weird.
Yeah,
it would be a huge black eye on the department to let that happen. It was one of the, before I heard any proof that there was a CIA, it was one of the things I said. If they were watching that house and it happened right under their nose, it would be a huge black eye for them to admit that they had somebody in the house that they were working with and they got the person killed, even when they were watching them trying to protect them.
Right.
So it would be something they would uncover up.
If you guys don't mind, I thought it'd be a good point to do a poll. To see how many people in here actually agree with, like, do you believe there was a CI? How accurate? I'm just going to type in, do you believe there was a CI in the house?
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Do you want me to compare my poll to yours?
I don't know. we might have to. Let me think on it.
Of course, you guys can. I think you guys should do it too, but that's up to you.
I'm doing it for sure.
I'm curious to see how many people believe in that statement based on, whatever. So I'm just making it simple.
All right, I'm typing it a little longer because I had the space to do it. Do you believe there was a confidential informant in the 1122 King Road house? That's it.
Always got to be bigger.
Right, exactly. I'm gonna use every bit of it that I can. So
Repent Salvation says there's also that police report from Kaylee to Blaker about seeing Sharon Archer, which was a missing person at the time, and she's the one who called and said she thought she saw her at the Walmart.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
We know she's interested in cases and stuff, but
all right. Are we just going with the yes no on this, or are we going with the maybe option as well?
I'm just putting yes no and not sure.
Unsure. Not sure. I'll put a not sure. Okay. All right. So I've got, do you believe there was a confidential informant in the 1122 King Road house? Yes, no, or not sure. Is that what you're going kind of with roughly too?
Do you believe there's a CI in the 1122 house is what I said.
Okay. Are you doing it too, Logan, or no?
Yeah.
All right. Tell me when you want to fire it. You want to just go for it?
Yep.
Fire it off. All right. Unfortunately, again, because all of our chats are separate, we have to each kind of do our chat for our own communities and then kind of talk it out. So that's why we have to do it three different polls out there.
Of course.
All right. I've got 9 votes over here. 11. Oops. It dropped down to 12, 9, 12. Then, okay. It's bouncing all over. It's still growing. It's getting bigger.
I can't find my poll, folks. Hold on.
I get it.
I don't know why.
That's a hell of a thing.
You really have some trouble if you're not sure.
I'm not seeing it.
You don't see your poll out there at all?
I don't.
Oh. Well, I've got it looks like my votes are slowing down on my side. Did yours go off, Logan? Is yours working?
Yeah, it's working. I got 33 votes.
Okay. You're outpacing us. Perfect. Okay. So I'm running about 79% yes, there was a confidential informant, 4% no, and 16% unsure. What do you guys got?
I don't have nothing because I can't find the damn thing. It just disappeared.
I get it.
Yeah, huh? And it's not even cold. Hold on. Let me see if I hit the wrong thing over here for a minute. Guys, give me 1 second, please.
I can see yours.
Uh-oh.
Wow,
sorry.
That's impressive.
Where I can't find it. It's like so you see it in my chat.
Yeah.
What
and
the hell?
Your poll is showing, man.
That's good.
He says that's good. Always a good thing.
Yeah, I'm like, oh wait, nope, that's not it.
You're really struggling tonight on that.
This is ridiculous, you guys. It just disappeared.
It's still moving.
Right.
You have 26 votes, 27 votes.
Son of a bitch.
Mine is kind of stagnant, so I'm going to go ahead and end our poll over on our side. So like I said, I got 74% yes, 21% not sure, and 5% no. Which puts the vast majority of people on yeah or not quite sure. But
thank you.
Most, yeah.
Typically unique for the super chat. CI adds the reason targeted. I agree with that.
And it totally makes sense of why they would have to cover shit up.
Yeah.
And shift the timeline and all these different things. So, yeah.
Yeah, even experts even say that law enforcement sometimes will take steps to protect their CI and will go to framing somebody who didn't do it to not burn their CI, so their CI doesn't get burned. So could something like that have happened? I mean, I'm not saying it did, but could something like that happen? Sure, it's happened before.
Out of 42 votes, I had 72% yes, 14% no, and 14% pretty much at 4 a.m.
That's funny.
How does things like this just disappear off your screen?
I don't know. I
can
don't
see yours.
I can't though. I've gone up and down my chat the whole.
Did you click at the top? There should be a black bar at the top. No.
Yep.
Click.
Hold on. Let me go.
Not yet.
No, it's not it. Wait a minute. The hell?
Is your poll still running? Like you didn't shut it down, or did you shut it down? And you're looking for your results.
I'm looking for my results. I have not. I can't find the poll to shut it down. I hit go and then it disappeared into oblivion somewhere.
Okay, you have 30. You want me to read yours?
Sure.
Okay, you have 31 votes. There's 74% yes. They do believe there's a CI in the house. 13% no, and 13% not sure. So for the most part,
very similar numbers on all of it. Yeah, very similar numbers. 77 looks like a good 70-something% across all of our boards think that there was likely a CI in the house. Yeah. Now the question is, does that? Anyways.
Well, Twiz made a good comment where he said you have to believe MPD, right, to believe there was a CI. But I don't think they meant for that to get out.
No, I don't think so either.
No.
That was a public records request
of war that slipped out. And intended to.
And it's funny because when I asked Kim about it, somebody asked me to ask her about it today. She said she does, and she thinks it's Kaylee.
Yeah,
and she because Kaylee was the
I think it was
investigative.
Kaylee, yeah.
She brought up when Kaylee had found that woman at Walmart that she reported to whatchamacallit.
Right.
And I was like, okay. I am beyond confused, Bootsy. I'm sorry. It just poof, it's gone. But you guys can see it, so it's hiding from me. My poll is hiding from me.
Well, it's and there's questions. Some people will say, well, yeah, there's a CI in the house, but it was Dylan. So then the question becomes, was the CI a victim or one of the survivors? Could it have been any scenario in which it's both? There's a CI one that survived and one that didn't survive. There's a lot of complexity, but I think that somebody in the house was working with police, that complicates this quite a bit. It leads to the belief that they would not be entirely honest with everybody about the facts of the case because they don't want to admit that they had a confidential, like if they're not going to admit that they had a confidential informant in the house that got killed under their watch.
And to go to the Dylan thing, by the way, that was put out there, and I mean this with all due respect, mind you, to whoever put that out, whatever was said about that. If Dylan was a federal informant informing on her boyfriend at the time when she was in high school, why in the fuck is she still with the guy?
Yeah.
Does that make any sense to anybody?
No, it doesn't.
I mean, I can't get that out of my head. I've been stewing on that for a while.
And also that video that got leaked or whatever that we weren't supposed to see, they wouldn't be referring to Dylan and Bethany as victims. When he's saying victims, he's referring to
he's somebody who passed.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I would go by.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And if that operation was in conjunction with the school, they don't want that to get out.
And I also
so the $1 million question, so here's the thing. We all watched that video where he whispers, I don't know if you know this, but one of the victims was a CI. Is there, to this day, is there any question in your mind that's not what he said, that he said something else?
Not at all.
Because there are people who are saying that he said something else. But what else would he have fucking said? Like, it seems clear as day that's what he said.
No, that's what he said.
I played that forward, backwards, slow, fast, every which way I could, and I even put the closed caption on it, this and that. I asked other people what that's what he said, in my opinion. My other thing with that too is, do you think, again, if this was a federal CI, do you think that the local PD would know?
If they were doing a joint operation, they probably would.
Okay.
Right. I mean, there was a multi-jurisdictional task force on drugs in the area. So local law enforcement could have been working with maybe Homeland Security about drugs coming across the Mexican border, I suppose, through their town, right? So they could have been working together, right? So that's possible.
That also could explain Dollinger going to FBI school, right?
During
the investigation too.
So they could have been working on it. Yeah, again, a multi-jurisdictional drug watch of drugs coming across the border in through the colleges, and that could have been an ongoing thing. And then during the course of that, they end up getting somebody mass murdered, maybe by the people that they're investigating, and then it's a huge embarrassment. Again, it's a huge fuck up. Like, how did we let this happen? We're supposed to be investigating this, and we let people, we let our CI get murdered, and a bunch of people in the house along with her. Could be a major problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see that as totally plausible. I'm sorry, Logan, to interrupt. I could see that as totally plausible for the level of them wanting to cover up what happened in the house.
Sure, it would make sense.
In the Nancy Guthrie case, there was a male and a female that knocked on the neighbor's door. They were inside for quite a while, and they said they were FBI. So when they left, they were inside for like 4 hours, the neighbor's house. When they left, the neighbor called the local sheriff, and the sheriff was like, no, we didn't have any FBI people at your house. And so they were terrified that it was fake FBI people cased in their house, in there for 4 hours. So there could be times where they don't know that there's a CI. If it was for FBI didn't tell local, or vice versa.
Yeah, Nancy's case
usually doesn't happen though. That it could happen, but usually it doesn't happen. I could tell you, if there's an operation going on, even if it doesn't involve local law enforcement, what normally happens, the outside agency, whoever it is, if it's some kind of task force or FBI or whatever, they'll stop by the local precinct, because
that could be
these guys, if these guys get involved in some crazy thing, now you have the cops are going to respond there, and it could be a recipe for disaster. So they have to kind of let us in. They might not tell us exactly what's what they're why they're there, but they may say, like, we're pursuing a certain suspect, or there's something, where we're going to be at this location during this time. They usually will tell us.
Like a heads up.
Yeah.
And let me ask you that. I mean, we need to wrap up, because I usually don't only go about 2 hours, although I don't have to be on a set time frame. But let me ask you this. If there was a multi-jurisdictional drug task force, and the FBI and Homeland Security and Moscow Police Department and probably Pullman, because if you're dealing with Moscow, you're going to be dealing with Pullman too. The two campuses are too close to each other. That would have been a kind of a all-in-one inclusive thing. If that had been going on before Koberger even arrived in town, is it possible that a multi-jurisdictional task force would have been looking for, say, top edge criminology students to help out with parts of this investigation, and all those theories that Koberger was, quote unquote, working with the feds? Could they have reached out to a PhD candidate in criminology to say, hey, we're working on this drug sting kind of thing, and could use your help in this area for extra credit or whatever the fuck may be? Is that a possibility?
Yes,
it is.
Absolutely. That's who they're high on the list of who they would seek out.
Sure.
Right.
So that's what I've said that many times. I said he could have even been brought there as part of that program. He's part of the funding, part of the program, and they, in conjunction with, this was my theory that I've said a lot of times, in conjunction with, if there was a CI, if shit went sideways, and part of this task force, and it's like, oh shit, we fucked up, we can't let this get out, and they, hey son, we're calling you up to the big leagues, here's your chance. And some people might say, oh, well, that's crazy. Who's going to agree to go to prison? When you work for the feds, man, when you go undercover you do a lot of shit. Like, I mean, it's all out there. Read the books. Look into the cases. You got people that have total cover positions. They get cover jobs when they go undercover. So they have a job. They have a cover story. I mean, that's what the intelligence agencies do, and that's what the feds do. So in my opinion, that's what I've been saying all along. I still stand by my theory that he was either working for or with the feds, because that explains a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. And
I still look at the paper he was writing. It's identical to what happened.
Yeah, that's weird. That is very weird. And I still question the statement his father made in the Patterson book, where he when he was talking with Brian's best friend's mother, and it spoke to the fact that he didn't get to tell Brian when his best friend passed away because he was gone somewhere for a while. He had no idea where, but he had gone off somewhere for a while, and then when he came back, they told him. And I just wonder, where did he go? What did Brian do in that period of time? Because he wasn't in rehab, because that was all done. So what was he doing at that period of time if nobody knew where he was? That's a little weird to me, is all I'm saying.
I think of Luigi when you say that.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Luigi.
Very odd. Very odd.
I mean, I tend to lean towards whenever the feds are involved, you're going to get fed horse shit. Because they can say, oh, it's national security.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And almost anything can be hidden under the guise of national security. Almost anything.
Everything.
They've made it, you could literally get away with murder under the guise of national security. I'm sorry. It's just more important for the national security than you to catch a bad guy or to get some justice for a murder. It's a matter of the whole country is at danger for that secret coming out, and that trumps the individual.
And we talked about that the other day, about the sacrifices that federal agencies will make to complete their task, to not blow their investigation. So yeah.
And the one thing that sways me away from believing that it was a straight up frame job is that would the feds also be, because the feds would also have to be in on it if it was a frame job, right? Because they were involved in the investigation early on. So that would mean that the feds are also involved in a frame job. And if it got out that the feds framed an innocent person, there'd be a lot more blowback than if the local police force did.
Right. Which I think is why the feds want to keep their hands out of it and have it be Moscow's problem and not theirs, why they didn't prosecute the case, because for that very reason, they don't want their hands bloody or messy on it if it gets blowback.
And you heard Steve tried to blame it on what Latah County did when he said, well, the feds ran from this as soon as they could because of the bullshit that Latah County was doing. Is that really what it was? I mean, or were they getting the hell out of Dodge while they could before all the bullshit hit the fan? That's my opinion.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going a little late tonight. Let's go ahead and wrap up for the evening. What a great discussion it turned out to be. As always, we can just freeform and riff all night long. More and more people, by the way, say they check us out on a nightly basis and go to bed with us every single night. So we go to bed with a lot of people around the world, which is fantastic. Couldn't have asked for more, I guess. So on that note, let's wrap this up. We'll go Robin, 1-1, Logan, Dago, JJ, and then I'll close this out. So we'll go around the horn that way. So Robin, you get the first close for the evening. What do you got?
All right. Well, once again, like you said, it's been a fascinating conversation. We never lack for topics. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for coming out and hanging out with us tonight, winding down your day and relaxing with us. And, whether you're here live or you're on the replay crew, we appreciate each and every one of you so very much. And I love hanging out with the gang on this panel. Mad respect to our moderators throughout all three communities. And I hope everyone has a fantastic night.
Thank you very much. And it's great to have you on the show. As always, you never miss a show. You're like, I think you should get an attendance record for, I don't know that you've ever missed a show. Have you missed it? You probably missed one show.
Yeah.
Maybe. Have you ever missed a show?
I was sick as a dog.
Yeah.
Right. One show. Yeah.
You're like get an award.
You should get an award for
those
attendance.
little trophies.
Yeah.
I want a cheeseburger.
What about you for close tonight?
Great discussion as always. Love the panel and our communities. Thanks to all of wonderful mods from everyone, especially Amanda and Essie and Big Boss backstage for all the stuff you do. I greatly appreciate Cat Farm.
Speaking of that, has Amanda ever missed a mod? Ever missed a night modding? Like, I'm not sure if Amanda's missed a night.
I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe
great work from Cat Farm. I know you're not in the show right now. You're probably sleeping or whatever, or she was before. Yeah, but you'll watch. I'm sure you'll watch the replay. Great work as always on the songs and all that stuff. So we love all of it. And I love the discussion on the small town law enforcement and prosecution stuff, and then good comparison to see, between the big cities and small towns and what's actually going on. But will we ever get some kind of change? Is the question is how widespread are does this corruption go to all these areas? So there's so many cases that go unheard and never noticed. So just think about that. You're right. Are we ready for movie quote?
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so your hint will be that this is in the 90s.
Okay.
I like you, Mary. I like you a lot. I want to ask you a question.
Something about Mary?
No.
Is it?
Nope.
No. All right.
Flat out. And I want you to give me an honest answer. Whatever. What do you think the chances are of a guy like you and a girl like me ending up together?
Dumb and Dumber?
You got it.
Yeah. Dumb and Dumber.
How did I not know that?
Lloyd, that's difficult to say. I mean, we really don't hit me with it. Just give it to me straight.
Dumb and Dumber.
I came a long way just to see you, Mary. Just the least you could do is level with me. What are my chances? Not good. You mean not good like 1 out of 100? I'd say more like 1 out of 1,000,000. So you're telling me there's a chance?
So you're telling me there's a chance. Yep. Great job. Thank you so much for the movie of trivia. I was on it tonight. Thank goodness. Dumb and Dumber. That's amazing. All right. Logan, what do you got for close tonight?
Thank you everybody for always tuning in and always chatting in the chat with us. I love the chat. You guys are the absolute best. It's so much fun with all of you here. Thank you, Bianca, Krug Dog, Lizzie, Dago, Gulf Coast Bum, My Scream Name, Dago again, Bianca again, Yuri. And thank you all for getting halfway to our goal tonight. I will explain more tomorrow on it. Do something nice for yourself today. Be kind, but more importantly, be kind to your animals. And of course, thank you to the mods. You guys are the best. Have a great night, you guys.
Thank you so much. And Dago, what do you got for close?
I found my poll.
Nice. Nice. That's good.
Yeah,
It's a good moment.
Finally. It only took me an hour, but it is what it is. Anyway, thank you all so much for joining us. As always, it was such an amazing conversation. I kind of like these freestyle conversations where we don't really have a topic. We just kind of go at it. It turns out great every time. So thank you all for being here for that. Thank you to every one of you amazing mods. Thank you to anybody that chose to support us, whether donations, super chats, memberships, whatever it is. Thank you all very much for all of that. Thank you to Lee, Logan, JJ, 11 and Robin for being here with me and having me here. It's always an honor, as I say. I appreciate you all so very much for that. Guys, don't forget to love yourselves, love each other, and don't change nothing. You guys are truly the beautiful people. Have a wonderful night.
All right. Thank you so much. And JJ, what do you got for your close tonight?
Thank you, advocates. As always, good show, good discussion. Thank you to the denizens, the meatballs, the believers, and all the great mods. I think this Idaho 4 case, which is what we spent a lot of time on tonight, is an enigma because you have, in my opinion, so many different angles of everybody could take a theory and find a lot of things to support their theory. And I think that's what makes it compelling, because you can pull on a given thread and you could pull it pretty far. And I think that is why, because some people ask, oh, people are still talking about this case. I just think there's so many different aspects to this case that don't add up, and that I think we'll still be talking about it, I think, for a long time. I really do. I think there's more to it than what we've been told. I think we'd all agree on that. So I have a feeling we'll still be talking about this case for a while, whether people like it or not.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Well, it's good to see you as always, and I'm looking forward to when you get more of your channel going and running. And I was thinking, by the way, just out loud, I want to start reading that book, Chaos. I do enjoy doing book reviews. I had the idea of doing a book club for members only. Actually, I wanted to do it public, but it just never caught on. And so the channel suffers when I do a video that only like 12 people do. But for those who are interested in reading the book, I think I'm going to start the book Chaos tonight. And I'm going to read a chapter or whatever of that. And what I do is I end up highlighting the parts that I found were interesting and talking about it. It'd be nice if you want to join me for that, if you're interested in that, to pick up a copy of that book on Kindle or whatever. I also am going to be continuing another book that JJ recommended to me, which is One Nation Under Blackmail by Whitney Webb. I figured out where I was on the book, so I'm going to review that as well. So those are some of my projects that I'm going to do. I'm going to do it very, very soon. I'm going to start doing those book reviews again. They're not real well watched, but it's member only content for $3. You can become a member and join in that conversation or listen, get a copy of the book for yourself. I recommend you do that so you can show some love to the authors who originally put the time and the effort to research those books. And then if you want to hear my thoughts and or even participate in the discussion, make sure you get a copy of the book and that you watch that series. And thank you all for coming. Come early, come often, come multiple times. That's always the goal. Thank you for being here. I hope that you enjoyed the music that we played at the early part of the night. I'm going to be working music into the show more often, so you can kind of expect to hear a song and then one of our 2 sizzle reels. We've got 2 big sizzle reels that are more fancy. We'll always probably play one of those so that you know you're in the right place. But before that, we'll roll on any given night. We'll roll a new song with some AI images and stuff like that, just to kind of mix up the variety. And you'll never know whether it's going to be humorous or it's going to be serious, whether it's going to be smoky, whether it's going to be bouncy, whether it's pretty much going to be something really hilarious. Check those out. And thank you everyone for being here. Have a great night. See you tomorrow night, same time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And catch you later.
Have a great night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.